He goes, a whole civilization, and the world understandably panicked. This is the post. Never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. We will find out tonight one of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. Then he ends by saying, God bless the great people of Iran, which is an insane thing to say when you start by saying your whole civilization will die tonight. It's an insane thing to say. And it follows up another piece of insane rhetoric that was just a few days ago on Easter, where he said, open the fucking strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. Okay? It's beyond delusional. It's deranged. It's, it's through the looking glass. We're in the crazy times. And it's a bit of a tipping point today. Okay? Now, the people who are the nothing ever happens bros, as I've said, I think they win almost every battle and then have clearly lost the wider war. Shit is happening all over. In fact, there's a literal war. But in this particular case, 100%. And we were recording Lemonade Stand before his back down, which is here. And I said this would happen because Trump's tactics have become predictable at this point. He does this obscene escalation and then backs down, and obscene to try and move. And these are the kind of things that work for him as a New York real estate developer. And they are backfiring, I think, pretty hard as the leader of a powerful country in the free world. Okay, I think they've been way less effective. They don't pull the same weight. But he did have a back down. As of the deadline, 8 p.m. Eastern today, there was a post saying, based on conversations with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, they requested that I hold off on the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran. Now, what's interesting is Shehbaz Sharif did say this. He posted, I earnestly request President Trump to extend the deadline for 2 weeks. And so it seems like Donald J. Trump, he wanted to go through with it, but his friend held him back. Hold me back. The only problem is you can check the edit history on Shehbaz Sharif's post, and you can find that he literally was sent this message to post. It said draft Pakistan's PM message on X. Pakistan's own staff would not call it Pakistan PM message. So this comes from some other country. Do you understand? Which means they sent him the message, which includes tagging real Donald Trump in it, by the way. Tagging JD Vance in it. And then he posts it, and then Trump gets to go, all right, I guess I'll back down. But it's obvious, like no one is confused anymore when he posts like this, what he's gonna do. Now, I understand people were freaking out that he's gonna drop a nuke or whatever. I was pretty clear. You can watch the Lemonade Stand tomorrow when it comes out. And I think this is pretty obvious taco. But the thing is, even though you can know his negotiating strategy and know that he's gonna back down, for me, it doesn't matter. This is not how a leader should be talking. This is threatening an open war crime. He is trying to destroy civilians from a country that hasn't bombed America. Do you understand? Like this, the blowback is in soft power. It is in degraded alliances and degraded trust. It's not in whether or not you can maybe force through a ceasefire here. By the way, even though we've got our taco time and oil prices are going down and stock futures are climbing again after the last minute ceasefire because people are panicking today. There's wider issues that I want to talk about, but I will give one credit to one thing. It does seem there is a possibility here that his escalatory rhetoric, this massive threat, did possibly, I have to give credit, I'm going to give the full story, did possibly get China at least to blink. And that is because Iran is willing to go to the death with this thing. Iran knows that they can't be squeezed out of the regime, but China stepped in, this is according to New York Times reporting, and had an intervention to push for the ceasefire. And it's because China is facing some of the energy hangover from the Strait of Hormuz closing, and they want the oil and the shipping from Iran no matter who's in charge. And even if there's a 1% chance or a 5% chance that Trump actually did bomb power plants and civilian infrastructure, which would be fucking deranged, the shutdown would be catastrophic. I mean, again, 90% of Asia's oil comes through here. This would be a disaster. So they push for a ceasefire. However, Let's look at the facts, dude. Let's say Trump's all-out strategy worked and he got the ceasefire by being crazy. Let's look at where we ended up, okay? After all these weeks of fighting, after spending all of the munitions, after spending all the money, after spending all the goodwill, where do we end up in this 2-week ceasefire? Here's one of the negotiated parts of the agreement that is coming out from the AP today. Iran still gets to charge for the Strait of Hormuz passage. Before this, the world had considered this passage an international waterway and never paid tolls. So this is the great agreement. This is what all the fucking war crimes threats got us to, is that the tollway, which used to be open to everybody, now has Iran charging a toll in yuan, which of course China wants. Of course they would push for that. Like, do you understand? Like, additionally, Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium is still buried at enrichment sites. So if this ceasefire ends up holding, and this ends up being the new normal, and the war doesn't happen, I'll be happy, because I don't want this war to escalate. But understand, we find ourselves with no progress on the nuclear question, which was like the main impetus they said to get into this. And then they've turned the Strait of Hormuz from open to closed, or to like toll booth. Like, what is the gain? And that is for all that we've thrown, all the goodwill and wealth and treasure. Like, understand that even if you're one of those people on social media who's like, oh, this is all part of his brilliant negotiating strategy, 5D chess, I have to tell you that, like, even if I'm giving you the best faith outcome, and it really did cause China to blink and force Iran to negotiate, what did you get? What did you get versus not doing any of this? It's obvious that would be the better solution. Additionally, another part I want to talk about is that there's a lot of people saying that Trump was like talked into this by either Rubio or Hegseth or Netanyahu, and that he didn't want to do it, and that Trump was more of a FIFA peace president kind of guy. And I want to say, all of the internal reports are saying that while those people had influence, I'm not gonna downplay that. I want to talk about that actually. Trump continually is reported as being the most hawkish person in the cabinet, in the highest echelons. He is a bloodthirsty mad dog. Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio sound like doves compared to the president. He is walking around saying, what do you guys think of Infrastructure Day, as in the day in which he blows up the infrastructure of Iran. So I'm just getting frustrated by this constant attempt of like otherizing his own agency. He is the one doing, like, every evidence points to him being the guy keeping this going and pushing it. It's sane washing this insanity. Okay, there was an incredible piece of reporting from the NYT on the inner circle of Trump leading up to the war with Iran, including a pitch from Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel to try and get them into the war. And I want to go through all of that because I think it's a fascinating piece of reporting. Okay? This is interviews with all the people involved. So look, here we go. Netanyahu showed up and did a PowerPoint presentation on why the U.S. would have victory in Iran. Okay? And he said the regime would be so weakened that it could not choke off the Strait of Hormuz. Wrong. Clearly and obviously wrong. By the way, militarily stupid. Militarily stupid because anyone who has watched the Ukraine war over the past few years can tell you that there is just no way. There is no way without total regime change to stop them from being able to send cheap $10,000 Shahed drones to blow up boats. There's no, even if you destroyed all their navy and all their missile sites, no matter what, you can't stop the drones, and therefore you cannot stop them from constantly harassing the strait. Obvious. Okay. But anyway, they go on. Trump's hawkish thinking aligned with Mr. Netanyahu's over many months, more so than even the president's key advisors recognized. Trump walked around with abundant confidence that the war would be quick and decisive. Now, other people in the cabinet felt differently. Intelligence officials, like the people in the CIA, said, look, we look at this plan, there's 4 parts to it. There's killing the Ayatollah, there's crippling Iran's capacity to protect power, there's popular uprising inside Iran, and there's regime change. Number 1 and 2, we can do. Number 3 and 4 are fucking delusional. They said that to him. I just want you to understand that, like, they told him the obvious thing. Oh, that's being blocked. But yeah, they told him exactly what would happen. It's actually more embarrassing to read this because as it goes through point by point of what everyone said in these meetings, it becomes obvious that everyone knew. I have been scratching my head like, how did they not know this wouldn't happen? They did. He just didn't listen to it. Marco Rubio said, in other words, it's bullshit. This is about Netanyahu's presentation. He said it's bullshit. He said it's not a workable plan. Pete Hegseth was a proponent. Pete Hegseth was the biggest proponent of war with Iran from the beginning. I'm not doing this to sane-wash anyone. I'm just telling you, this is the reporting on who was with and who was against. They've all supported it since it started. But internally, this guy was a big supporter. Then General Kane came out, and I have a post here. Let me see if I can get the full quote because he had the most enlightening remark. Let me see if I got it. Okay, here he said, look, I got it. General Kane, Trump's most trusted general. The president turned to him and said, General, what do you think? He said, sir, this is, in my experience, standard operating procedure for the Israelis. They oversell and their plans are not well developed. They need us, and that's why they're hard selling. Trump weighed the assessment and then said, regime change would be their problem. The bottom line is, I'm not going to let parts 3 and 4 stop me on whether I go to war. So Trump thought he could just do 1 and 2 and leave 3 and 4 to someone else. But that is insane. And then it's not possible for anyone. Okay? So there we find ourselves in an insane spot. So the general also goes on. The general goes on and said, most importantly, he flagged the enormous difficulty of securing the Strait of Hormuz and the risks of Iran blocking it. Mr. Trump dismissed that possibility on the assumption the regime would capitulate before it came to that. The president appeared to think it would be a very quick war. The idea that this guy thinks he knows more than all of his advisors and generals and CIA is fucking delusional. And he's forcing through these horrible ideas. Like, do I need to support Marco Rubio to know that he's right here? No, it's just correct. People are telling him this. So that's where we find ourselves, guys. That was the walk-up. People gave him warnings. He forced it through. And now he is doing this, I mean, truly embarrassing stuff. Embarrassing and like gross and evil stuff. This type of rhetoric to try and like save face and claw back some kind of ceasefire. But the best ceasefire we get is worse than we started at. So that brings me to my actual point of this presentation. A lot of people are looking at this. A lot of people from all over the political aisle are looking at how this played out today. And they're thinking one thing: how the fuck can we do 3 more years of this? How the fuck can we do 3 more years? Okay? It's only been 1 year. He is clearly degrading. Like, if you watch a Trump speech from 2016 and watch one today, he's degrading in his ability to form coherent thoughts. He's degrading mentally. And based on rhetoric like this, he's degrading in his like ability to have some self-control, okay, in any method. So people are asking, how do we have 3 more years? And suddenly there is a big push to invoke the 25th Amendment from an eclectic group. Now, some people you might expect. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy goes, if I was in Trump's cabinet, I would spend Easter calling constitutional lawyers about the 25th Amendment. He's utterly unhinged. Obviously, that's what you might expect. But there's people outside of this that you might not expect. Now, what's interesting, if you don't know, the 25th Amendment was added to the Constitution after JFK. This is a bad arrow to draw. Circle. After, we all know what happened to JFK, all right? He took a bad ride. After JFK, they had to add a new amendment to understand what would happen in the event of presidential succession. And the first 3 sections of it are pretty standard. They're about what happens if the president like gets sick, or if he gets shot, or if he dies, or whatever. But the 4th part is what's interesting. Section 4 is about what if the president is unfit to do the duties of office? What do you do if we all agree he's not the right man for the job? So we'll get to that in a second. The people asking for it, though, include Marjorie Taylor Greene, former pro-MAGA supporter, Republican Congresswoman. 25th Amendment. Not a single bomb has been dropped on America. We cannot kill an entire civilization. This is evil and madness. She's saying it direct. Tucker Carlson, Trump supporter, often calls him. They're in close contact, him and Trump. Said this.
It is vile on every level. It begins with a promise to use the US military, our military, to destroy civilian infrastructure in another country, which is to say to commit a war crime, a moral crime against the people of the country. Those people who are in direct contact with the president need to say, no, I'll resign. I'll do whatever I can do legally to stop this because this is insane. And if given the order, I'm not carrying it out.
And Alex Jones.
How do we 25th Amendment his ass?
Now, look, I'm sure many people feel the same way I do when I see this, which is like, you guys did a lot to help him get into this power. The people I'm talking about, you all did a lot to help him get to the position where he can do this. But at the end of the day, what they're saying is true. This is an evil thing. This is bad. And at the very least, I'm happy they're saying that versus the other thing. It's frustrating to see people switch up so quickly after you did so much. You did so much and you maligned people who said anything opposite. And it's crazy to me, but people got to change their minds sometimes, and I'm willing to move it. And Tucker Carlson, to his credit, which is a sentence I rarely say, Tucker Carlson, apparently, according to this reporting, has been a skeptic of Iran war for a while and has been trying to tell Trump that a war with Iran would destroy his presidency, which I agree with. That's what I've been saying for a couple videos now. I do think this is destroying his presidency more than any other crazy thing he's done. So I can't highlight it. I can't. A couple weeks before the war began, Mr. Trump, who had known Mr. Carlson for years, tried to reassure him over the phone. I know you're worried about it, but it's going to be okay, the president said. Mr. Carlson asked how he knew. Because it always is, Mr. Trump said. This is such a delusional way to talk about going to war. It's so crazy, bro. I'm blown away. You know, we've gone from this is an official White House image, to this in 1 year. In 1 year, we've gone from this to this. At some level, you got to understand what a fucking 180 it is to at least the fucking MAGA base, to at least the supporters who thought they were buying into something. Okay, but back to the 25th Amendment, okay? Because now we have, again, Tucker Carlson has a lot of sway on the Republican right, on the conservative side. There's people with sway. Now, first it was like the Nick Fuentes far right. Now it's Tucker Carlson. Now it's fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now it's Alex. There's enough people basically saying openly he should unfit for the job. And that's in addition to all the Democrats. So there's a kind of a groundswell of like, this guy's doing a horrible job a year in. Does the 25th Amendment have any chance? So first I got to tell you some bad news. America makes it really, really hard to get rid of bad politicians. It's not easy. We've had situations like a congresswoman with dementia issues who was in a senior living facility. She didn't even show up to vote and nobody knew about it. She just stopped showing up, but she kept her position. We've had Dianne Feinstein, who served till 90 and skipped 200 plus votes. We had Mitch McConnell, who has been freezing, this is an article over 2 years old, he's been just freezing up in public for 2 years now, has been a 7-time senator from Kentucky, still in power. And of course, you know, I think I'm giving old Joe a pass lately because of how bad this last year has been. But Joe, when we talk about him, he clearly age has gotten to him, and hard to ignore that, okay? So can we actually get rid of this guy with the 25th? The truth is, I got some bad news. In the short term with the 25th Amendment, it's pretty much impossible because the letter of the law states that we need one man and one man only to agree to get rid of him. JD fucking Vance. There's no other way around it. It has to have the vice president. You could have every member of Congress, every member of the House. You could have all the cabinet. If you don't have JD Vance, can't do it. So now look, JD Vance is a guy who once said Trump is Hitler and then flipped for power. Is it possible he could flip for power again? Maybe. I will say, in the New York Times article on Behind the Scenes, Vance was painted as the skeptic. Nobody in Trump's inner circle was more worried about the prospect of war with Iran or did more to stop it than the vice president. He called it a huge distraction of resources and massive. I'm not laundering JD Vance by any measure. I'm just telling you that that's what it said. He was most against it. That being said, in public, when asked about it, he's diehard for it.
We feel confident that we can get a response, whether it's positive or negative. We're going to get a response from the Iranians by 8 o'clock tonight. I hope they make the right response, because what we really want is we want a world where oil and gas is flowing freely, where people can afford to heat their homes and cool their homes, where
that's
people
not what
can
you
afford
got.
to transport themselves to work. That's not going to happen if the Iranians are engaged in acts of economic terror.
Dude, it's such a frustrating thing to hear, because that is the world we had before the war. Like, you cannot paint yourself as like, I just want to work. I'm just a simple man who wants a world where oil and gas can flow freely. And it's like, bro, I thought it was about the fucking nukes. I thought it's crazy. The idea that it's all about Hormuz now, when the Hormuz is the part you caused.
So they've got to know we've got tools in our toolkit that we so far haven't decided to use. The President of the United States can decide to use them, and he will decide to use them if the Iranians don't change their course of conduct.
All right, so that's where we find ourselves. So I got to tell you, I'm not very big on this 25th idea as a realistic measure to get him out. What I am big on, and what I've been saying a lot lately, and I have to say again, is voting. Okay, I know people fucking hate to hear it when you're younger, but the truth is, okay, the Democrats projected to win the House. Okay, this is what the Senate looked like in October. 75% chance the Republican Party maintains their hold. This is what it looks like now. If this can keep going up, it can literally change the world. This could actually change. This could be a real measurable check on power. We had a call with Mark Kelly today for Lemonade Stand. He said the same thing. He said, look, you should protest. There's a lot of things you should do. But realistically, if we're talking about short term this year, what's going to make a real measurable impact? It is winning these elections by a lot to put a real check on his ability to do insane things. And I want to say, I looked at the math. I looked at the fucking math. You people in this fucking chat who are like, oh my God, voting? Yeah, all right. Yeah, that'll do anything. You don't fucking do it. You don't fucking do it. It's crazy. 31%. This is the last midterms. Fucking vote. Do it in addition to something else. Do it in addition to something else. Bro, legitimately, again, one thing that Mark Kelly said stuck with me. He's like, hey, I'm campaigning in Arizona, and they keep sending me out to these nursing homes. And I asked them why. And they said, well, it's the only people that vote. He's traveling around the fucking state, only going to fucking nursing homes because they vote at like a fucking 4x higher rate. You guys gotta just do, it's not that hard. Register. This is a fucking important election. That's all I'm saying. Just register for the primary. Fight hard in the primary. Find a candidate you like, push for them. But dear God, bro, if we can get the votes, the opportunity space opens up. There's a huge amount of anger with Democrats in this country, which I think is right in a broad level. But a lot of it is about doing more to stop Trump. And I gotta tell you, unless they're gonna pick up a fucking AK-47, they can't do a lot to stop Trump when he's won by vote the House, the Senate, the Judiciary, the presidency, okay? Those things constrain you. If we don't change that foot act on the ground, like, it's like insane because they're asking them to like subvert democracy. People voted in a bad way. We have to vote back. It's important. I believe this is important. I don't give a shit what the fucking doomer cynics say. It's important. All right? So I'm pressuring you to do it. I'm going to add probably some links maybe in the description of where you can find out register to vote. I hope you do it. That's my summary. Please don't bank on the fact that a miracle 25th Amendment is going to come in. All right. Thanks guys for watching. Appreciate you. I'm back. Daily uploads start tomorrow. Peace.